A tale told only when the moon is full. Listen closely, child. What I am about to tell you happened on a night when the world forgot how to breathe. The full moon rose as it always had, silver and fat against the black sky. But then it stopped, not slowly, not gently. It froze mid-climb, as if caught by invisible chains. The wind died. Crickets went silent. Even the dogs, who howled at every shadow, pressed their bellies to the earth and whimpered. In the village square, old Mama Essie dropped her basket. Yams rolled across the dirt, but she did not move to pick them up. Her eyes were fixed on the sky. It has come, she whispered. The other elders gathered around her, their faces carved with fear. They knew what the frozen moon meant. It was written in the oldest songs, whispered in the darkest nights. When the moon refuses to move, a debt must be paid. Somewhere in the village, hidden among laughing children and sleeping mothers, was the one the moon had chosen, the listener, the vessel. And in the sacred hut at the edge of the forest, the forbidden drum began to beat. No human hand touched it, but it played. The elders moved quickly through the village, their footsteps urgent but silent. They did not need to speak. They all remembered the law. There are stories Mama Essie had taught them long ago that must only be told when the moon is full. Stories so old, so powerful, that daylight would burn them to ash. If you spoke these stories under the sun, your voice would vanish. If you whispered them during the new moon, your memory would crack like dry clay. But tonight was different. Tonight, the moon demanded the full story, not pieces, not fragments whispered to sleepy children, the whole truth. Young Kofi, barely 10 years old, watched the elders from his doorway. His grandmother had told him once, when he was smaller, to cover his ears when the old ones chanted at night. Some truths, she had said, are not meant for young souls. But Kofi never covered his ears. He always listened, and tonight the drum called to him. Its rhythm matched his heartbeat perfectly. Mama Essie stopped in the square and raised her hand. The other elders formed a circle. "Find the child," she said. They all knew which child she meant. The child they sought was not hard to find. Her name was Adanna, and she had been different from the moment she entered the world. She was born on a night when the moon blazed red and full, so bright it cast shadows sharper than noon. The midwife said she came out facing the sky, eyes open, unblinking. Most babies cried. Adanna stared upward, as if searching for something familiar. As she grew, the strangeness deepened. She never feared the dark. While other children clutched their mothers at nightfall, Adanna would wander to the edge of the forest, barefoot and smiling. She never got lost, even on moonless nights. It was as if the darkness knew her name. Her mother worried. Her father scolded. But Adanna only shrugged. "The night is kind to me," she would say. The elders noticed other things too. She never dreamed during the new moon. But when the moon grew full, she would speak in her sleep strange words, old words, words no child should know. Tonight, as the frozen moon hung above, Adanna stood alone in the village square. She was not afraid. She was waiting. The moonlight thickened. It poured down like honey, slow and deliberate, wrapping itself around Adanna's small frame. And then it whispered, not loudly, not the way wind whispers through leaves. This was a voice made of silver and memory, ancient and clear. It spoke her name, Adanna. She did not flinch. She tilted her head, listening. The other villagers heard nothing. They saw only a child standing still, bathed in light, but Adanna heard everything. The whisper unlocked something deep inside her mind. Memories that were not hers flooded forward, visions of shattered skies, falling stars, and a terrible cry that once split the heavens in two. She saw a time before villages, before fire, before words. She saw the moon walking on earth. She saw a betrayal. Her knees buckled, but she did not fall. The moonlight held her upright. Mama Essie approached slowly, her wrinkled hand outstretched. "Child," she said softly. "Do you hear it?" Adanna nodded. "Then you are the one," Mama Essie whispered. "The moon has chosen you to carry what was broken." The drum beat louder. The story was beginning. The drum sat in the sacred hut, carved from a tree that no longer existed. Generations ago, lightning struck during a full moon. The tree burned silver, not orange. When the flames died, the wood remained blackened, hard, and humming with strange energy. The ancestors carved it into a drum. It was never meant to be played by human hands, only by memory. Tonight, it played itself. Each beat sent ripples through the air. Villagers clutched their chests, feeling the rhythm in their bones. Adanna walked toward the hut. She did not choose to. Her feet moved as if pulled by invisible thread. The elders followed. Inside the hut, shadows danced on the walls. The drum sat in the center, its surface gleaming faintly in the moonlight that slipped through cracks in the roof. Mama Essie placed her hand on Adanna's shoulder. "What you are about to hear," she said, "is not just a story. It is the reason night exists, the reason we fear the dark, the reason the moon weeps." Adanna's throat felt tight. "Why me?" she whispered. Mama Essie's eyes were sad. "Because your blood remembers what your mind has forgotten." The drum beat once more deep, final, and the story began. Long, long ago, before your great-great-grandmothers were born, the moon was not distant. She walked among us. Yes, child. The moon was once flesh and breath, not silver and stone. She taught the first people how to plant by her cycles. She showed them which herbs healed and which stars guided lost travelers home. Under her watchful glow, humans flourished, crops grew fat, children laughed, elders lived long, peaceful lives. The moon asked for nothing in return, only that humans remember balance, light and dark, rest and work, truth and silence. For many generations, they obeyed. But closeness breeds temptation. Some began to wonder, if the moon can teach us so much, what else does she know? What power does she hide? Whispers spread, envy took root. And one person, trusted above all others, began to listen to those whispers. This person was chosen to guard the moon's secrets, to protect the sacred knowledge she shared. But protection became obsession, and obsession became greed. The drum paused. Mama Essie's voice dropped lower. "What happened next," she said, "is why the sky cracked, why night and day tore apart, why the moon no longer walks among us." Adanna felt cold. She knew, somehow, that she was connected to that betrayal. The guardian's name has been forgotten, erased, buried in shame. But the memory of what they did lives on. The guardian was loved, admired, envied. People whispered, "If only we had their wisdom, if only we stood where they stand." At first, the guardian resisted the whispers. They remembered their vow. They honored the moon's trust. But slowly, doubt crept in. Why should the moon keep so much hidden? Why should one being hold all the answers? The guardian began to ask questions the moon would not answer. What lies beyond the stars? Why must we age and die? What power made you, and why can we not have it too? The moon smiled sadly each time. Some knowledge, she said, is not meant for those who cannot carry its weight. This answer only fed the guardian's hunger. One night, under a moon so full it hurt to look at, the guardian made a choice. They went to the edge of the world, where shadows gathered and whispered promises. And there, in exchange for power, the guardian sold the moon's greatest secret. The moment the words left their lips, the sky screamed. The moon's light shattered like glass. The betrayal tore the world in two. Night, which had been gentle, became a place of fear. Shadows no longer obeyed the moon. They twisted, hungry, and wild. The sun and moon, once companions, were ripped apart. Day became blinding. Night became cold. The moon wept. Her tears fell as silver rain, burning the earth wherever they touched. The ground where her tears landed became barren, cursed. The guardian realized too late what they had done. They fell to their knees, begging forgiveness. But the damage was done. The moon could no longer walk among humans. The betrayal had poisoned the bond. To stay on earth would mean her destruction and the destruction of all she loved. So she rose, higher and higher, until she became distant and untouchable. But before she left, she spoke one final curse. You wanted my secrets, she said to the guardian. Now you will carry them, you and your blood, for all generations. You will remember what you have done, and one day, a child of your line will pay the debt you owe, the guardian screamed. But the moon did not return. She hung in the sky, forever watching, forever waiting. The drum's rhythm slowed, mournful now. Mama Essie continued, her voice heavy with sorrow. The moon's phases, she said, are not natural, they are wounds. Adanna listened, her heart pounding. Each month, the moon tries to heal. She grows full whole, hoping this time the scar will close. Mama Essie gestured to the sky. But the betrayal left a mark too deep, so she wanes. She bleeds. She fades. The elders around the hut nodded solemnly. And when she is full again, Mama Essie whispered, the scar stretches. It aches. She remembers everything. Adanna's hands trembled. Is that why she stopped tonight? She asked. Mama Essie nodded. Yes. Tonight, the wound opened wide. She cannot move forward until the debt is paid. What debt? Adanna's voice cracked. The one your ancestor left unpaid. Silence filled the hut. Adanna felt the weight of 1,000 moons pressing down on her chest. My ancestor? She whispered. Mama Essie's eyes glistened with unshed tears. Yes, child, you are descended from the guardian who betrayed the moon. Adanna's world tilted. She wanted to run, to scream, to deny it. But deep inside, she knew it was true. Her blood remembered. The ancestors, desperate to stop the world from collapsing into endless darkness, made a terrible choice. They sealed the rest of the story inside time itself. They wove it into the moon cycle, locking it so it could only be spoken once each full moon and never finished. This way, the truth would not be lost. But neither would it be fully told. Generation after generation heard fragments, pieces, warnings whispered in the dark. But no one ever heard the whole story, until tonight. Mama Essie placed both hands on Adanna's shoulders. The ancestors showed mercy, she said. They gave us time to find the one who could finish it. The one strong enough to carry the ending. But why me? Adanna's voice was barely a whisper. Because the moon has been waiting for you. The air grew colder. The moonlight around Adanna pulsed, alive and aware. She has watched your bloodline for generations, Mama Essie said. Waiting for the child who would not run, who would not hide, who would listen. Adanna looked up at the frozen moon. It stared back. What happens if I finish the story? She asked. Mama Essie hesitated. I do not know, child. No one does. The drum beat once. Those who heard fragments of the story lived cursed lives. They were never quite whole. Some woke screaming in the night, clawing at dreams they could not remember. Others walked during the day with hollow eyes, as if part of them remained trapped in moonlight. Children who listened too closely grew old too fast. Elders who spoke the fragments lost their memories, forgetting even their own names. The story was alive. It fed on those who carried it. Mama Essie had seen it herself. Her own mother, a storyteller, had tried to speak the tale during a new moon. She lost her voice that very night, never spoke again. Incomplete truth, Mama Essie whispered, is a poison. It festers. It rots the mind. Adanna understood now why the elders looked so tired, so afraid. They carried pieces of a story that wanted to be whole, and it was killing them slowly. The moon demands balance, Mama Essie said. A story begun must be finished, a wound opened must be healed. She looked at Adanna with something like pity. You are the only one who can do it. Adanna's stomach twisted. And if I can't? Mama Essie did not answer. She did not need to. The frozen moon spoke for itself. The moonlight around Adanna grew brighter, almost blinding. It no longer felt gentle. It felt heavy, demanding. The villagers stepped back, shielding their eyes. Only Adanna remained still, her small body wrapped in silver light. And then the moon spoke again. This time, everyone heard it. The voice was not cruel, not angry. It was tired. You are not just a listener, the moon said. You are a vessel. The story must now be completed. or it will be forgotten forever. Adanna's breath caught. What does that mean? She called out. It means, the moon replied, that you must carry the ending. You must speak what your ancestors silenced. You must restore what was broken. But I don't know how. The moonlight pulsed. You will. Mama Essie stepped forward, her voice trembling. Great moon, she said. The child is young. She has not even lived 15 full cycles. The moon's light softened, just slightly. Age does not matter, it said. Only blood, only choice. Adanna felt something shift deep inside her. The memories that were not hers grew louder, clearer. She saw the guardian's face now, and it looked like her own. From the shadows at the edge of the village, a figure emerged. She was ancient beyond counting. Her skin hung loose, her hair white as bone. But her eyes were sharp and black, gleaming like polished stones. She was blind during the day. But at night, under the moon, she saw everything. The villagers gasped. They knew her. She was called the Night Seer. She lived alone in the forest, appearing only when the moon demanded it. The Night Seer walked slowly toward Adanna, her bare feet making no sound on the earth. When she spoke, her voice was like wind through hollow trees. Child, she said, do you understand what you are being asked to do? Adanna shook her head. The Night Seer smiled, but it was not kind. Stories are alive, she said. They hunger, they remember, and this one has waited so long to be finished that it has grown teeth. She leaned closer. Not everyone who hears it survives knowing it. Adanna's hands were shaking now. Then why must I hear it? The Night Seer tilted her head, studying her. Because, she said softly, you are already part of it. You always have been. The drum beat again, slower now. The Night Seer turned to the moon. She is ready. The Night Seer raised her hands to the sky. The child must know the truth, she said. All of it. The moon's light grew unbearably bright. Adanna felt her knees buckle, but the moonlight held her upright. Visions flooded her mind. She saw the guardian's bloodline stretching back through time. She saw the curse passing from parent to child, generation after generation. She saw her own mother, her grandmother, her great-grandmother, all of them marked by the same restless dreams, the same pull toward the moon. And then she saw the truth she had been running from. She was not just descended from the betrayer. She was the betrayer, not in body, not in this life, but in spirit, in blood, in the memory that never dies. The guardian's soul had splintered when the betrayal happened. Part of it stayed trapped in the moonlight, waiting to be made whole again. Adanna gasped, tears streaming down her face. I didn't choose this, she whispered. The moon's voice was gentle now. No, it said. But you can choose what happens next. Adanna looked up, her vision blurred by tears. What do you want from me? The moon was silent for a long moment. Then it asked a question it had never asked before. Will you repair what your blood broke? The world began to tremble, not violently, not like an earthquake, but softly, as if the very fabric of time was unraveling. The villagers gasped as the air shimmered. The past and present began to collapse into one another. Shadows that had been still now moved. Figures appeared, ancestors, long dead, walking among the living. Mama Essie cried out. She saw her mother standing at the edge of the square, young again, whole again. Other elders saw their own ancestors. Children saw grandparents who died before they were born. The dead did not speak, they only watched. They had come to listen. The drum's rhythm grew louder, more urgent. Adanna stood at the center of it all, the moonlight wrapping around her like a cocoon. She could feel the past pressing against her skin. She could hear the guardian's voice whispering in her mind. I was afraid, the guardian's voice said. I wanted to be more than I was. I wanted to matter. Adanna understood now. The betrayal was not born of evil. It was born of fear. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of being small. The moon's voice echoed softly. Do you see now, child? Do you understand why I could not simply forgive? Adanna nodded, tears streaming down her face. Because forgiveness without understanding is hollow. Yes, the moon whispered. The night seer stepped forward again. The child must choose, she said. But first, she must see all the versions of the past. The moonlight shifted. Adanna saw the betrayal from every angle. She saw the lies the guardian told to justify their actions. She saw the half-truths they whispered to themselves. She saw the moments where they could have stopped, could have turned back, but didn't. She also saw the pain, the regret. The guardian's final scream as they realized what they had done. Then the moonlight shifted again. This time, she saw a different version. A version where the guardian resisted temptation, where they remained loyal. In that version, the moon still walked among humans. Night was still gentle. The world was whole. Adanna's heart ached. Which one is true? She whispered. The moon's voice was sad. Both, it said. And neither. The past is not fixed, child. It is a story we tell ourselves. Adanna felt dizzy. Then what am I supposed to do? The night seer's eyes gleamed. You must choose which story to carry forward. The one that keeps the wound open or the one that heals it. Adanna looked at the faces around her, the living, the dead, all of them waiting. The weight of every moon that ever rose pressed down on her. The moon's voice, when it spoke again, was quieter than before, almost fragile. I have watched your bloodline for so long, it said. I have seen them suffer. I have seen them try to forget. Adanna listened, her heart breaking. But I could not let them forget, the moon continued. Because if they did, the betrayal would happen again. And again. The moonlight trembled. So I cursed them. I cursed you. Adanna wiped her tears. Why are you telling me this now? The moon was silent for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice was almost a whisper. Because I am tired, child. I am tired of carrying this wound alone. Adanna's breath caught. The moon, the powerful, eternal moon, was asking for help. What do you need from me? Adanna asked softly. The moon's light pulsed gently. I need you to answer a question I have never dared to ask. Adanna waited. The moon's voice trembled. Will you repair what your blood broke? Not because I demand it, not because the ancestors command it, but because you choose to? The question hung in the air, fragile and heavy. Adanna closed her eyes. She felt the weight of every generation before her, every restless dream, every whispered curse, and she made her choice. Adanna opened her eyes. Yes, she said. I will. The moon's light flickered, as if it had been holding its breath. Do you understand what I am asking? The moon said. This is not a debt that can be paid with blood, not with sacrifice, not with death. Adanna nodded. Then what do you want? The moon's voice grew softer. Balance, it said. True balance, the kind that can only exist when both sides let go of what they are owed. Adanna frowned, confused. The night seer stepped forward. The moon does not want revenge, child. It wants peace. And peace requires that both of you forgive. Adanna's eyes widened. You mean I have to forgive the moon? The night seer nodded. The moon cursed your bloodline. It made you carry pain you did not choose. That too was a wound. The moon's light dimmed, as if ashamed. Yes, it whispered. I was angry. I was hurt. And I made your ancestors suffer for a crime they did not commit. Adanna felt tears spill down her cheeks again. She understood now. The price was not her life, not her voice, not even her memory. The price was her future. To heal the wound, she would have to become something else entirely. The moonlight wrapped around Adanna like a second skin. She felt its weight, its sorrow, its endless, aching loneliness. I will do it, she said quietly. I will carry the balance. The night seer's eyes gleamed with something like pride. Do you know what that means, child? Adanna nodded. I will no longer be fully human. I will be bound to the moon's cycle. I will live between worlds, neither flesh nor spirit. The villagers gasped. Mama Essie stepped forward, her voice breaking. No, child, you are too young. Let us find another way. But Adanna shook her head. There is no other way, she said. The moon has waited long enough. She looked up at the frozen light above. And so have I. The moon's voice trembled. You do not have to do this. Adanna smiled, tears streaming down her face. Yes, I do. Because if I don't, someone else will have to. And I don't want them to carry what I can. She took a deep breath. I offer my future, she said. I offer my name. I offer my place among the living. The moonlight blazed. And in return, Adanna whispered, I ask that you let my ancestors rest. The moon was silent. Then, slowly, it began to move. The world held its breath. The villagers, the ancestors, the shadows, the drum, all of it froze. Even the wind stopped. For one long, impossible moment, nothing existed except Adanna and the moon. The moonlight wrapped tighter around her, lifting her gently off the ground. Her feet no longer touched the earth. Mama Essie reached out, but the night seer held her back. Do not interfere, the night seer whispered. This is her choice. Adanna felt herself changing. Her heartbeat slowed. Her breath grew shallow. She was not dying. She was becoming something else. The memories of every ancestor flooded into her not as a burden, but as a gift. She saw every full moon that ever rose, every shadow that ever danced, every story that ever waited to be told, and she understood. She was not just paying a debt. She was becoming the bridge between the moon and the earth, the keeper of balance, the guardian reborn. The moon's voice was soft now, almost tender. Thank you, it whispered. Adanna smiled. You're welcome. And then, for the first time in generations, the moon moved. It glided slowly across the sky, whole and healed. The world exhaled. The night sighed with relief. The wind returned, gentle and warm. Crickets began to sing again. Dogs lifted their heads, no longer afraid. The frozen moon continued its journey across the sky, its light softer now. Kinder. The ancestors faded, their faces peaceful at last. Mama Essie fell to her knees, weeping. The other elders embraced one another, trembling with exhaustion and gratitude. The drum in the sacred hut fell silent. Its work was done. The night seer looked up at the sky, where Adanna floated, wrapped in moonlight. Will she return? One of the villagers whispered. The night seer shook her head slowly. Not as she was, she said. But she will always be near. She pointed to the moon. Look closely, she said. Do you see? The villagers squinted at the moon's surface. And there, faint but unmistakable, was a shape. A small figure standing tall. Adanna. She had not disappeared. She had become part of the moon itself. Mama Essie wiped her tears, her heart aching with pride and sorrow. She saved us all, she whispered. The night seer nodded. Yes, and now she will guide us, forever. The moon moved on, carrying Adanna with it. Time at last healed. When dawn broke, the village woke slowly. Most people remembered nothing. They stretched and yawned, confused by the strange peace that filled the air. Children played. Mothers cooked. Fathers tended their fields. Everything seemed normal. But those who had stood in the sacred circle, the elders, the night seer, Mama Essie, they remembered, and they felt the absence. Adanna's mother searched for her daughter, calling her name through the village. But Adanna was gone. Her footprints ended at the edge of the sacred hut. Mama Essie found her there, staring at the ground. She is not lost, Mama Essie said gently. She is somewhere safe. Adanna's mother looked up at the sky, tears streaming down her face. Where? Mama Essie pointed to the moon, still faintly visible in the morning light. There, she said. She is there. Adanna's mother did not understand. Not fully, but she felt it. A warmth, a presence. Her daughter was still watching over her. The village moved on. But something precious had been left behind. A girl who chose love over fear. A child who became a story. And the dawn felt, somehow, like a farewell. Adanna did not vanish completely. No, child. She became something else. Something greater. The elders said her voice could be heard in the wind on full moon nights. Soft, gentle, guiding. When lost children wandered too far into the forest, they swore a girl's laughter led them home. When the moon rose full and bright, villagers felt a presence warm, protective, familiar. Adanna was no longer flesh, but she was not gone. She had become part of the story itself. The drum, silent now, still hummed faintly when touched, as if it remembered her heartbeat. The sacred hut glowed softly on full moon nights, though no fire burned inside. And the night seer, who saw all things hidden, said this: Adanna is the guardian now, not of secrets, but of balance. The children who grew up after that night were different. They did not fear the dark the way their parents once did. They looked up at the moon and smiled. Adanna is watching, they would say. And they were right, she was. The moon carried her gently across the sky each night, no longer alone. And in return, Adanna whispered to the earth below, I am here, I will always be here. A living story, told in moonlight. Years passed. Generations rose and fell like tides. But the story remained. The elders taught it to their children, who taught it to theirs. Always under the full moon, never during the day. Why must we wait for the moon? The children would ask, and the elders would smile. Because the story is not ours to tell whenever we please, they would say. It belongs to the moon, and to the girl who saved us. The rule was sacred. Speak the story at the wrong time, and your voice would crack, your memory would fade. But speak it when the moon is full, and you would feel Adanna's presence. Warm, protective, alive. Mama Essie grew old, then older still. But she never stopped telling the story. Even when her voice grew weak, she whispered it to the youngest children. Remember, she would say, the moon is always watching, and so is Adanna. The night seer too continued her work. She appeared only when the moon demanded it, guiding those who were lost, comforting those who were afraid. And always, always, she looked up at the moon and smiled. Thank you, child, she would whisper. Thank you for choosing us. The story never ended. It only waited for the next full moon, for the next listener, for the next child who would understand.